guys, just out of curiosity, before I dive into the 3 M's, how many of you have already heard my story? I don't want to bore you if most of you have heard it. And just how many have not heard it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell it. Those of you who have heard it before, you can fact check me, see if I'm lying. Okay, so I found meditation about 10 or 11 years ago at the end of my Broadway career. As Mia said, I was on Broadway for 10 years. It was amazing. It's what I wanted to do since I was a child. I mean, since I was like 8 years old, I was reading the newspaper in my mother's bathroom on the floor. I saw an ad for this theater, and I was like, oh, Mom, I need to go there. I'm going to be an actress. And I knew it like 8. So anyway, I thought that once I got on Broadway, that my whole life was going to be sunshine and roses. I mean, I was picturing martinis with Liza at Sardi's, and instead it was like girls eating tuna fish out of a can and complaining about their bunions. And I was like, this is not my dream. And so I thought that my happiness must be in like the next Broadway show, or like the next boyfriend, or the next agent, or the next zero in my bank account. And I did that. I was in what I call the I'll be happy when syndrome for about 10 years. And then finally, my last Broadway show was a chorus line. And my job was to understudy 3 of the lead roles. Now, if you don't know what that means, it means you show up to the theater and you have no idea which character you're going to play that night. So sometimes I would start the show as one character, and halfway through they would switch me to a different character. Or I'd just be chilling in my dressing room doing my taxes, and someone would get on a loudspeaker and be like, Emily Fletcher, we need you on stage. And I would start panicking because I wouldn't know which costume to put on, so I would just grab all 3 of my leotards, run down 7 flights of stairs, someone would put me in an outfit, and then I'm not kidding you guys, sometimes I would be on stage before I knew who I was. I was like, oh, there's no Val, so I guess I'm Val, and just into tits and ass. I was not a stripper. That's the name of a song. So it was basically leading to like a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and I started going gray at the tender age of 26 years old. I started having insomnia. I couldn't sleep through the night for 18 months. I started getting sick and injured, and to be honest, I was embarrassed about my performance. And this is like, so you're like, poor little Broadway star. So it's not a complaint, but it is really embarrassing to be on stage in front of 2,000 people just sucking and knowing that you're sucking, and there's like nothing you can do about it. And then the worse you are, the worse your sleep is, and the worse your sleep is, the worse your performance is, and it just became this spiral of anxiety. And finally, I was like, this is not me. This is not who I am. This is not what I know I can do in the world. And so thankfully, this amazing woman was sitting next to me. She was understudying 5 of the lead roles, which to this day, I don't know how she did it, but this woman was crushing it. Every dance, every song, every bite of food was a celebration. She'd be like, oh, this is sensational. She was Australian. Meditation does not give you a bad Australian accent. And I was like, excuse me, what do you know that I don't know? And she said, I meditate. And I was like, oh, God, one of you. I was like, just probably rolled my eyes. And because this was 11 years ago, there was not the neuroscience then that there is now. Now, you guys in this room might have already been on the tip by then, but most of the world was not. I certainly was not. And so I didn't believe her. I just kept sucking at my job, going gray and having insomnia. And then finally, I was so embarrassed, I thought, well, I got to try something. So I went along to this intro to meditation talk. I liked what I heard. I signed up for this course. On the first day of the first course, I was meditating. I had no idea what that meant, but I was in a different state of consciousness than I had ever been in before, and I liked it. And then that night, I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months. And I have every night since, and that was almost 11 years ago. Then I stopped getting sick. I went 8.5 years without getting sick. And then I had my bachelorette party, and I really earned that one. I stopped going gray. I'm 38 years old now. I have like 2 gray hairs, which I promptly pluck out. But I was legitimately going gray like 10 years ago. I stopped getting injured, but most importantly, I started enjoying my job again. I started performing at the level that I knew I was capable of. And so I thought, why does everybody not do this? It's so delicious feeling. It's so easy. It's not that expensive. And it just changes every single part of your life. So I left Broadway. I went to India for a while, not 10 years. I'm not that hardcore. And I started, and then I started Ziva meditation, which has been the best thing I've ever done. And people ask me if I miss performing, and the answer is no. I'm still performing. I'm just using now my lifetime of performance training, but more directly to help other people. And selfishly, why I do do what I do is that I love waking up to emails from my students every day saying, Emily, my insomnia is gone. My IBS is gone. I got off my meds. I haven't had a panic attack since I started meditating. I broke up with that ding-dong head. I started writing that book. This is my new favorite one. I got a $120,000 scholarship that I did not apply for. Those results are not guaranteed. I think you actually have to apply. But if you apply, your chances go way up. Okay, so that's my story. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the 3 M's. What are the 3 M's? Mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. And these 3 M's have really become the trifecta that is the Ziva technique, which is what I teach. And I want to start really by focusing on the difference between mindfulness and meditation, because a lot of us are using these terms as synonyms, and they're not actually the same thing, okay? I mean, how many people have heard people just use the terms mindfulness and meditation interchangeably, right? So here's how I would define mindfulness. And P.S., I'm sure you ask another meditation teacher, and they will give you another definition, but just see if you like this one. So mindfulness I would define as the art of bringing your awareness into the present moment. Beautiful, right? The art of bringing your awareness into the present moment. And we could all practice that right now, right? And let's just do it, right? Just close your eyes. You don't even have to put your pens down. Just close your eyes and just take a big, delicious inhale. And exhale. So good. And this time as you inhale, I want you to actually feel the breath as it enters your nostrils. And as you exhale, I want you to feel the tactile sensation as it exits your nostrils. Really good. And open your eyes. So that was like a mindful moment, right? That was one mindful breath where we brought our awareness into this moment, into the right now. Very powerful, okay? Especially in this age where we've become bulimic of the brain, right? We're just constantly ingesting information via technology. Now, most of the apps out there, most of the YouTube videos, most of the drop-in meditation studios are teaching what I would put in the category of mindfulness. So anytime you are directing your focus, anytime you are doing a guided visualization, anytime you're focusing on your breath, counting your breath, visualizing your chakras, imagining a waterfall, I would put that in the category of mindfulness, right? Waking state, left brain practice. And you're directing your focus. Now, this is an interesting time to be alive because neuroscience is catching up to what these Indian dudes have been saying for 6,000 years. And now, not only can we prove that meditation is good for you, but now we can start to prove how different styles of meditation are impacting the brain differently. So in mindfulness, where you're directing your focus, a smaller part of the brain lights up very, very bright, right? Which is sort of indicative to how mindfulness is helpful to you. If you practice mindfulness, you notice that you get very good at like focusing on tasks. You get very good at like putting one foot in front of the other and being very present where you are right here, right now. Now, mindfulness is also derivative of styles of meditation that were originally made for monks. Right? And I actually think that it's why a lot of people think that meditation is hard, because people like us, and if you think you might be a monk, you need to talk to me because I'm going to send you on a different program. But people like us, people with busy minds and busy lives, people who live in society, if we're trying to practice styles of meditation that were originally designed for monks, then it feels sort of hard, and it feels a little bit like, why can't I clear my mind? And why is this so... And like Mia was talking about, she was just like frustrating and fidgeting and just like, I suck at meditation and I quit. So mindfulness is a little bit more disciplined. We're coming back, we're coming back, we're coming back. And a smaller part of the brain is lighting up, but very, very bright. But mindfulness, what mindfulness is best at is dealing with your stress in the right now. Like my boss yelled at me today, I got a little stressed, let me listen to my app, I feel better in the right now. Like I have a headache, I take an aspirin, I feel better in the right now, okay? That's the first M, mindfulness. Now let's talk about the second M, meditation. And I want, for a moment, I'm going to ask you guys a favor, and I want you to take everything you've ever heard about meditation, and I want you to throw it out the window just for these next few minutes that we have together. Let's just go into this with beginner's mind and see if we don't learn something new. Again, if you disagree or you think I'm full of hogwash, then that's fine. You don't have to accept this for the rest of your life, but let's just see if this makes sense to you. Meditation, as I would define it, is basically when we're accessing a verifiable fourth state of consciousness. So different than waking, different than sleeping, and different than dreaming. Okay, right now, hopefully, I haven't put you to sleep yet. Hopefully right now we're all in our waking state of consciousness, right? Which is different than where we are when we're sleeping, different than where we are when we're dreaming. When you start to cultivate a meditation practice, you actually move into a fourth state of consciousness, okay? And in this state of consciousness, the right and left hemispheres of the brain start to function in unison. And this is important because your left brain is in charge of the past and the future, and your right brain is in charge of the right now. I'm going to say that again. Left brain, past, future. Right brain, right now. Left brain, critical thought. Right brain, creative thought. Left brain, I suck, I'm going to die alone with cats eating my face. Right brain, write that book. Call that guy. Start that company. Okay, so we actually want to have both of these guys functioning at the same time, right brain and left brain. So when we start meditating, we're accessing this fourth state of consciousness. And when I say that it's like a verifiable state of consciousness, what I mean is that if you were to hook your brain up to an EEG machine, which is electroencephalography hardware, there are 8 classic points on the right brain and 8 classic points on the left. And in waking, sleeping, and dreaming states of consciousness, the right and left hemispheres of the brain are functioning separately. But in this fourth state of consciousness, all 16 leads of EEG rise and fall in unison, which I think is a pretty cool party trick that you sitting quietly in a chair could actually change your brain signature. But why would I want that to happen? Well, everyone should, right? Because left brain is past future, right brain is right now. We want these things talking to each other. Now, when you start meditating, instead of a small part of the brain lighting up like it does in mindfulness, the whole brain lights up, and that starts to increase something called neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change itself. It also increases something called neurogenesis, which is the brain's ability to generate new brain cells. Okay, and that's happening because you have this whole brain cohesion happening when you're doing this practice, okay? So again, cool party trick, but why? So when the whole brain lights up, the right and left brains are talking to each other, and that strengthens and thickens something called the corpus callosum. Now, the corpus callosum is the white strip that connects the right and left hemispheres of the brain, and we've known for a long time that meditators have thicker corpus callosums than non-meditators, but we weren't able to prove if it was causal or correlated. But now we know that the longer you meditate, the thicker this thing becomes, which suggests that it is, in fact, causal. It suggests that it is the meditation that is thickening the corpus callosum. So great, why would I want a fat corpus callosum? Because it is the very thing that allows you to come up with a creative problem-solving idea, even in the middle of a high-demand situation. Okay, so your boss is yelling at you, you get kind of stressed, and it's like, I don't know, I'm sorry, goodbye. Or you get into a fight with your partner, and it gets pretty heated, and then it gets really heated, and then eventually you just shut down and retreat to the bedroom, and about 2 hours later, you start coming up with all these hilarious, witty comebacks, and you're like, why? Why couldn't I have thought of that in the moment? Well, my hypothesis is that the thicker your corpus callosum is, the easier it is for you to come up with all those witty comebacks when it counts. Right? Because none of you guys care how hilarious or amazing or enlightening I was last night in my hotel room when I was making my notes for this. It doesn't matter. It matters how well I perform right now. And we really need the combination of left brain and right brain happening simultaneously. Also, I don't think that nature makes mistakes. And if you look at a human brain, it's actually 50-50. Right? Why would nature have given us 50-50 if it wanted us to use 90-10? And yet that's what most of us are doing. We're thinking, we're taking action, we're achieving, we're making money so we can be happy in the future. We think, we take action, we achieve, we make money so we can be happy in the future. And meanwhile, our poor little right brain is over here like, I have a creative idea. I have a suggestion. You're like, shut up, right brain. I got to think and take action and achieve and make money so I can be happy in the future. And so what we start doing, I'm going to take a little water break now. Actual workout. I don't work out too much when I'm pregnant. So what we do when we meditate, and again, this is Emily Fletcher's definition of meditation and what I teach at Ziva, is that you're given a mantra. Okay, now this term mantra has also been hijacked by the wellness industry. A lot of people think that the term mantra is I'm a strong, angry woman, or I want $1 million. And I would call those affirmations, if you want to be a strong, angry woman, or slogans or log lines. And those are really powerful tools as well, but I just wouldn't call them mantras. Mantra is actually a Sanskrit word. Man means mind, and trup means vehicle. So a mantra is actually a mind vehicle, and these mind vehicles are custom designed to de-excite the nervous system. They're custom designed to take you into more subtle states of consciousness so that you can start to access your bliss and fulfillment in the only place that they reside, which is inside of you. Right? And every spiritual text has been saying this since the beginning of time. What you seek is in you. The kingdom of heaven is within. And that is a beautiful intellectual concept to get in your brain, but it's a lot more powerful to be able to experience that every day, twice a day, physically, viscerally, in your bones, in your cells, in your body. And that, in no uncertain terms, is what meditation does for you. It's giving you access to your fulfillment inside of you. Now, that's sort of like the esoteric definition, but what's happening neurochemically is that within 30 to 45 seconds of you starting, your brain and body flood with dopamine and serotonin. Now, dopamine and serotonin are bliss chemicals, so that feels nice when it's happening, but if that's all it did for you, then it's no better than any other drug, right? You just want to feel good for 20 minutes, you could go take some acid or something. It's a lot longer than 20 minutes. Not that I would know, you guys. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you just want to feel good while you're meditating, that's just escapism. And if you want to escape, you could drink some wine, you can watch some Netflix, there's lots of things you can do to just escape. I don't think we meditate to escape. I don't think we meditate for the sake of meditation. I think we meditate to be better at life. No one gives a crap if you're a good meditator. And I'm really mad about that because I'm very competitive and I really would like to be the world's best meditator. No one cares. Really, nobody cares if you're a good meditator. Everybody cares if you're good at life. How kind are you? How compassionate are you? How present are you? How's your sleep? How's your sex? How's your parking karma? How creative are you? Did I say that? Probably. So parking karma is really good. And it legitimately gets better when you start meditating. You're just like, thank you. So what we're doing, right, is that we're using tools, and you could use a mantra. There are other tools that you could use, but I like using mantras, right? And you de-excite the nervous system, you de-excite your body, and you induce not only that fourth state of consciousness that I was talking about, you not only access that bliss and fulfillment inside of you, but you also start to get rid of a lifetime of accumulated stresses. Okay? Because when you give your body the rest that it needs, when you're giving your body that deep healing rest that's 2 to 5 times deeper than sleep, then the body knows how to heal itself. And one of the things that it heals itself from is stress. Okay? And not only your stress from today, but all your stress from the past. That dog that barked in your face when you were 10, your parents' divorce when you were 12, that breakup when you were 16, that college you didn't get into, that job you got fired from, that stuff is stored in your cellular memory. Like it or not. Every Taco Bell you've ever eaten, every Jack Daniels you've ever drunk, that's in your cells. And so that stuff has to go somewhere. And in my experience, when you practice meditation, when you give your body this deep healing rest, you're handling not only the stress from the right now, but actually purging and creating a catharsis from all your stress from the past. And that's actually the thing that up-levels your performance capabilities. So the analogy that I like to use here is that of a computer. Okay, so if you imagine your brain as a computer, every single time you've ever been stressed in your entire life, it's left a little open window on your brain machine. It's something called a premature cognitive commitment, or a PCC. And by the time the average human is 20 years old, we have approximately 10 million PCCs in our brain. 10 million. So let's just imagine you're at work one day typing an email and you're like, I'm going to take a break. I deserve a break today. And you open up a little Facebook, a little YouTube, a little Twitter, a little Instagram, a little Vine, a little Hulu. And let's just say for the sake of argument that you could open 10 million windows on your computer, and then your boss walks by and you're like, oh crap, let me pretend like I'm working. And you go back to type an email. And the cursor is about 20 spaces behind. And you're like, oh, stupid computer, can't even type an email. It's like, well, actually, that computer is plenty capable of typing an email, but if you're using all of its computing power to run those 10 million irrelevant windows, then you don't have the full computing power for the task at hand, right? And this is exactly what stress is doing for us. I get some pushback on this because I like to work with high performers. I like to work with high achievers. So far, I've taught Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, and Golden Globe winners to meditate, which I'm really proud of. So I like to work with people who are like doing big things in the world, and I get pushback from them. They're like, Emily, I need my stress. Like my CEO clients are like, Emily, I need my stress. That's the thing that gives me my competitive edge. And my actor clients are like, Emily, I need my stress. My hurdy-poos, that's where my art comes from. And I'm like, no, false. This is BS. I call BS on this. Stress makes you stupid. Really, truly, stress makes you stupid. I'm going to make a t-shirt soon. It also makes you sick, and it makes you slow. Okay, there's some new science coming out from Harvard Medical School suggesting that somewhere between 80 to 90% of all doctor's visits are related to stress. 80 to 90% of all doctor's visits are stress-related. Scientists are calling stress the black plague of our century. So we could complain about that, and we could stress out about people being stressed, or we could start lighting some candles, and we could start meditating. We could start up-leveling our own state of consciousness to contribute to up-leveling the collective, right? So let's do a quick recap, right? We've got mindfulness, which is a directed form of meditation, or like a directed focused style mental technique, more of a left brain waking state. Any kind of, you're doing like a guided visualization, focusing on your breath, mindfulness, more derivative of monastic styles of meditation. Then we have what I would call meditation, where you're accessing this fourth state of consciousness, increasing that brain cohesion, inducing that deep rest that's 2 to 5 times deeper than sleep, which feels really nice. Like it feels sort of like a nap sitting up. It looks kind of like this. And then you feel really energized and refreshed on the other side. And you've gotten rid of some of those old stresses from your past on the other side. So mindfulness, very good at dealing with your stress in the now. Meditation, very good at dealing with your stress from the past. Now let's move into the third M, manifesting. Right? Now, you guys are Mindvalley folks, so I know that you're probably expert manifestors. But it's relatively new to me. And I started teaching it because I started realizing that when I was giving people these tools of meditation, they started to have quite incredible manifesting powers, but they really didn't know what to do with it. They were like a toddler running around with a torch, and they're like, these things are just showing up, and I don't really know why or how. And so I just wanted to start giving people a bit of a structure around it. And I get some pushback from my like high achievers. I live in New York, and so I get some pushback from my like hard driving New Yorkers. And like, oh God, you want me to manifest? What, you want me to just like get high and like secret my dreams? And no, that's not what manifesting means, as you guys all know. I would define manifesting as consciously creating a life you love. Simple, right? It's consciously creating a life you love. It's taking the time to get clear about what it is that you actually want in your life, and taking the time to place the order with the cosmic waitress at the cosmic restaurant. She's ready to serve, right? She's ready and willing to serve, but a lot of us aren't taking the time to actually place the order. And I know I'm probably preaching to the converted in this room, but it's amazing to me how many people I meet in a day, and I ask them, well, what's your dream job? How much money do you want to be making? What do you want your relationship to look like? How do you want your relationship with your body to feel? And they're just like, I'm not making enough money right now, and my husband doesn't understand any of this stuff. And so it's like they immediately go to the complaint. When I ask them what they want, it's like they can't even articulate it without starting with the complaint. And so we think we're manifesting. We've tricked ourselves into thinking that we're manifesting, but actually we're just like, I just want to lose weight. I just need more money. Why do I just need a boyfriend? And why does she have a boyfriend? It's not fair. When am I gonna? And we're just complaining and like confusing it with manifesting. And it doesn't work that way. And nature feels like insulted, right? So to me, manifesting is really like, it's as simple as placing an order at a restaurant. Like imagine how ridiculous it would be to walk into a restaurant, sit down, your waitress comes up, and she's like, hi, what can I get you? And you're like, food. You're like, yes, absolutely. What would you like? Food. I'm so hungry. Can you please bring me some food? I'm pregnant. I really need some food. And she's like, yes, what would you like? Look, she has salad. Why don't I have salad? When are you going to bring me my food? I'm starving here. And she's just like, okay. And she walks away, and then maybe she brings you some bread. And you're like, I didn't even want bread. I don't eat gluten. What am I supposed to do with this? And it's like, well, if you would just place the effing order, she will bring you what you want, right? And so manifesting is that's one piece of it, right? Getting specific and placing the order. But what I have found is that the combination of meditation and manifesting is infinitely more powerful than either one alone, right? Because you can meditate all day, but if you're not clear about what it is that you want, then it's very hard for nature to give it to you. And conversely, you could make vision boards all day long, but if you don't believe that you deserve your dream, it ain't coming. Right? So this combination, the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. If you have the daily discipline, you take the time to actually get trained in a meditation practice that's eradicating that lifetime of old stress from your body, it impacts what I call deserving power. You start to actually believe that you deserve your dreams. You start to believe that you deserve your desires. And then when you get clear and specific about what it is that you want to create and why from that place, it's like the gap between your desires and your desires becoming manifest gets shorter and shorter. And it starts to feel kind of like magic. It's not magic, it's a return on investment. It only feels like magic if you're using your gauge as success as a bunch of other stressed out people. But when you start to, congregate with people like this and come to conferences like this and see that you're not crazy, you're not alone, oh wait, this stuff is real, thoughts do become things, I am the co-creator of my reality, then we actually start to fan each other's flame and we start to lift each other up. Good. So, quick recap. We got mindfulness, which is like waking state, directed focus mental technique. Small part of the brain is lighting up, very, very bright, very good at dealing with your stress in the now. We've got meditation, which is where we're accessing a verifiable fourth state of consciousness. Right and left hemispheres are functioning in unison. We're inducing deep healing rest that's getting rid of our stress from the past, which is ultimately the thing that uplevels our performance capabilities. And something I'd like to elaborate on while we're on the meditation piece is that meditation is really giving you access to your bliss and fulfillment inside of you. Now that sounds like a pretty concept, but I want to put that into like a real life example. Most of us spend most of our lives seeking our fulfillment externally, right? And what I was talking about, the I'll be happy when syndrome. If my husband would just go to therapy, then I could be happy. If I could just get that one more zero in my bank account, then I would be happy. If I could just get one more pair of shoes, one more speaking gig, one more Instagram like, then I will be happy. So most of us are running around our lives like a bag of need, looking to be fulfilled. And what meditation does is that it actually plugs you into the source of fulfillment. You're plugging into the source of creativity, the source of energy, the source of rest, and that turns you into fulfillment, looking for need. And that is not an insignificant shift, because when you start to approach every single situation in your life from what can I give, how can I contribute, what can I offer, all that stuff that you want starts to show up by accident. It's not accident. Again, it's a return on investment. And actually, let's think about this for a second. Think about someone in your life who stresses you out, like really stresses you out. And we're not going to do it out loud, so even if they're in the room, you can say it. You can be honest with yourself, okay? Everyone have one? If you don't have one, you can just think about, politics. Okay, and now think about... if you were going to have a dinner party, like the day you get back from Mindvalley reunion, you have a dinner party and you want to invite like your 10 best friends over to tell them about your experience and what you learned. Who's the first person you would invite? Like just the person you love being around. Does everyone have someone? Okay, so here's my hypothesis about the difference between these two people. That person who stresses you out is in some way not self-sufficient. That person does not have the ability to access their own fulfillment internally, so they're always looking for it outside. Can you just help me? Can you just help me move? Can I just have $100? I'm so sorry I'm going to be late. Can you just adjust your schedule to deal with mine? Can you just listen to me while I complain? And they're just constantly making you adapt to them because they have not created the tools to be self-sufficient, okay? Now, if we go to our other person, our favorite person at the dinner party, my hypothesis that all of our favorite people has in common is that they are self-sufficient, that they've developed some sort of a means by which to tap into the source, to access their own fulfillment internally. And so when you talk to them, you feel like you're the only person in the room. that they always feel like they have time to listen, they're always generous, they're ready to lend a helping hand. You know they have more stuff to do than you, but they'll help you do the dishes at the end of the dinner party. They never come empty-handed, and it just seems like they're just a little ahead of schedule, right? And so my question to you is, which one of these people do you want to be? Do you want to be someone that's energetically costing the people around you, that's creating a debt? Or do you want to be the person that's giving energetically and creating, I don't know what that's called, like we'll call it good karma. So I think this is an important question to ask ourselves. Any questions about that? Any questions so far? Would anyone want clarification about any of the 3 M's? There you go. And then if we have time, we'll actually do a guided thing together.
I did have a question regarding like the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Like sometimes, like I'll start mindfulness, and then if it's not a good day, like it'll be like really hard even to follow the, like the mindfulness practice. But then sometimes I start with mindfulness, and then you do get into a state where you actually feel different, and you feel like you can kind of stay there, and then you don't have to follow the line anymore. Would that be like using mindfulness to get to a meditation state, or is it another technique to do meditation, like to get on the meditation state?
Yeah, so it sounds to me like what you're describing is that, yes, you're using mindfulness, more of like a left brain waking state, and then occasionally you'll sort of access some other state of consciousness, and it feels sort of dreamy and delicious, and you want to hang out there. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I would say yes, and that's actually what we do in the Ziva technique, is that we use mindfulness like as the appetizer to the main course, which is meditation, and then we use the manifesting as the dessert. Now, the thing that I would offer is that, it's possible to develop tools to where it's not just like an accident, that you're not just like, oh, today I happen to like fall into this bliss, but that you actually start to develop the tools to where you're cultivating it and curating it every day, twice a day. But yes, that sounds awesome. And one thing I do want to just say, just for especially anyone that's new to meditation or that has heard perhaps some misinformation in the past, and even if you guys know this, please go and shout this from the rooftops and just spread it far and wide, because a lot of people think that the point of meditation is to clear the mind, right? So I heard just like maybe a little bit of this. It's like sometimes I'll do mindfulness and it's hard to like stay on the things. I'm having like distracting thoughts, or I'm thinking about my ex-boyfriend, or I'm thinking about work. So a lot of us think that the point of meditation is to clear the mind, right? And then we feel like failures when we can't do that. So here's some really good news. The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. I'm going to say that again for dramatic effect, okay? The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. So trying to give your brain a command to shut up is as impactful as trying to give your heart a command to stop beating. It does not work, and yet this is the criteria by which most people are judging their meditations on. So just to drive this point home, on the count of 3, I want everyone to try and give their hearts a command to stop beating. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And please, nobody die. Okay, like we all agree that that's ridiculous, right? So let's please stop judging our meditations by ridiculous criteria. Let's stop judging ourselves at how good we are at meditating by how good we are at clearing our minds, and instead look at how it's affecting the rest of our life, right? You invest 2% of your day in meditation to make the other 98% of your day better. So this bullcrap argument of like, I don't have time to meditate, just raise your hand if you've ever said that. I don't have time to meditate today. All right, I'm about to call you out. If you believe that stress makes you stupid, which it does, and if you believe that meditation is the most powerful stress-relieving tool that we have, then this argument of I don't have time to meditate does not hold water anymore. Okay, when your body gets stressed, it launches involuntarily into a fight or flight stress reaction. Okay, your digestion floods with acid because it's like basically preparing for a predatory attack, right? Digestion floods with acid to shut down digestion so you can fight or flee. Your skin gets acidic so you don't taste very good if that tiger bites into you. Your blood thickens and coagulates so you don't bleed to death if the tiger bites you. Your bladder and bowels evacuate so you can be light on your feet to fight or flee. That's your nervous poo phenomenon. Your immune system goes to the back burner, because who cares if you're going to get cancer if you're about to be killed by a tiger? Like, again, we need all hands on deck to fight or flee the predator. And also your adrenaline levels increase and your cortisol levels increase. Now, I don't like teaching from fear tactics, but if you want to freak yourself out, just have a quick Google search about what adrenaline and cortisol are doing to your body. It is not cute. It is belly fat, it is infertility, it is a decrease in brain elasticity, it is chronic inflammation, it is autoimmune disease. It's the equivalent of dumping acid in your body all day, every day, and they'll be like, why do I look so tired? So this series of chemical reactions is very good for you if your demands are saber-toothed tigers. But if your demands are kids or in-laws or red eyes or traffic, then this fight or flight thing has become maladaptive. It's now disallowing us from performing at the top of our game. So instead of freaking out about that, let's just start meditating. And then when we start meditating, not only does that adrenaline and cortisol go away, but you start flooding your brain with dopamine and serotonin, which not only feel amazing, but they're also alkaline in nature. Right? And as we all know, an alkaline body can repair itself more quickly. You can start to reverse your body age. And this is some exciting new news coming out, is that meditation can reverse your body age by somewhere between, like, some people are saying 8, some people are saying 15 years. Right? So when I first heard that, I was like, I was like, it's not a fountain of youth. There's no way that's real. But then I started thinking about it. And it's like, well, it's not that the meditation is reversing your body age. It's that it's slowing down the acceleration of aging that stress has on the body. And if you want proof the stress ages the body expeditiously, look at any president the day they take office, and that same president 4 years later, right? They're just like, and that's not an accident. That's not a coincidence. It's the fact that they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, right? They're not sleeping. They're constantly in a high-demand situation, and that has a cost on our own brains and bodies over time. Okay, good. So I have some time left, so let's dive in. Let's do a little exercise together. Why not? All right, so I'm going to start with a breathing technique. We'll move into a little bit of silence. Start with some mindfulness, little bit of meditation, and then we'll end with some manifesting. And this is like a delicious glass of water, what I'm about to do with you guys. If you want to, like, get in the ocean, call me. Okay, so everyone take your right hand, take your thumb and your ring finger, close your right nostril with your thumb. Really good. Now exhale through your left. Beautiful. Inhale through the left. Really nice. Now closing your left nostril with your ring finger and exhaling through the right. Delicious. Inhale through the right. Biggest inhale you've taken all day. And closing your right nostril with your thumb, switching sides and exhaling through the left. Good. Inhaling through the left. And if you're stopped up on one side, you can do this just with one side. That's okay. When you get to the top of the inhale, float there for just a moment and then switch sides and exhaling through the right. Good. Noticing that space between at the bottom of your exhale and then letting that air just fall into your lungs through the right side. Biggest inhale you've taken all year. When you get to the top of the inhale, take one more sip of air and then switching sides and just letting that air fall out of your left nostril. Really good. And one more time. This time as you inhale, imagining that breath and energy coming into the base of your spine. And as you fill your lungs, imagining that breath and energy coming all the way up your spine. And then switching sides and imagine sending that breath and energy out through the middle of your forehead. You can close your eyes if you haven't already. Really good. And on this inhale, again, imagining that breath and energy coming in through the base of your spine. As you fill your lungs, imagining that energy traveling up the spine. And then switching sides and sending that breath and energy right out through the middle of your forehead. Really good. So when you come to the bottom of this exhale, keeping the eyes closed and dropping your hands into your lap. And we'll take a few moments of mindfulness, just using our 5 senses as a tool to bring ourselves into the right here, right now. So listening for all the sounds you can detect. My voice, the rustling in the room, the air conditioner. And we're not judging these sounds as good or bad, right or wrong. They're no distractions. We're simply pulling the lens of our awareness back and starting to include all of the sensations inside of our awareness. We're using our 5 senses as a tool to ground ourselves into the body and into the right now. Listening for the most prevalent and the most subtle sounds. Really good. And now ever so gently bringing your awareness to your sense of touch. So asking what's the most prevalent tactile sensation, probably your bum in the chair or the air conditioning against your skin. Feeling your hair against the back of the neck, or even the breath as it enters and exits the nostrils. Really good. And now, even with the eyes closed, I invite you to see what you're seeing. It might simply be blackness. Perhaps you can see the light streaming through your eyelids or colors dancing in your mind's eye. And taste what you're tasting. The aftermath of your lunch. And smell what you're smelling. Noticing how the ballroom smells different from your room. Can you smell the chill of the AC? And now taking a moment to start to hold all 5 of your senses in your awareness at the same time. So practicing a simultaneity of consciousness. So hear what you're hearing. Feel what you're feeling. See what you're seeing. Taste what you're tasting. And smell what you're smelling. Really using your 5 senses as a tool to bring yourself into the body and into the right now. Beautiful. And from this space of expanded awareness and acceptance, we can move into a short silent meditation. If you have a mantra, you can use that. If not, you can simply hear the word one in the background of your mind, like a whisper of an echo in the background, just one. Letting it get fainter and finer, not trying to control the tempo or the timing, and knowing that thoughts are not the enemy. You're allowed to have thoughts, enjoying the fact that you have this word to come back to like an anchor. And even if a sleepy feeling comes over you, that's okay. Just let yourself fall into that sleepy feeling. Let's keep the eyes closed, but we'll let go of the word inside, like we're cutting the cord to an anchor, starting to bring our awareness into the body, into the room. And from this place of groundedness, I want you to think about your dream case scenario for the rest of this weekend. How many people do you meet? What wisdom do you gain? How many people do you make laugh? Just want you to play out the movie of this whole weekend in your mind, but it's your magic wand scenario. How many belly laughs do you have? How many aha moments? How many breakthroughs? And what tools do you have to go back and share with your tribe? Just taking a moment to imagine that dream, that reality, this magic wand scenario as if it's playing out now. And instead of thinking about what you want to gain, what you want to get, what if instead you think about what you want to give? How do you want to contribute? How do you want to make other people feel? Just taking a moment to let that slideshow, that highlight reel of the weekend play out in your mind, and knowing that this or something better is already on the way to you. And that us doing this exercise together means that our dreams are now dancing with each other, which is going to make serendipity and synchronicity so much more elegant, so much more fun. So taking a big, delicious inhale, exhaling, letting go of anything that isn't serving you. Really good. Again, taking a big, delicious inhale, moving your hands, moving your feet. Starting to bring your awareness into the body, into the room, and in your own time, whenever you're ready, we can start to slowly, gently open the eyes. Really good job, you guys. I'm going to give you guys all a big high five. You nailed it. And thank you very much for a beautiful afternoon. I'll see you around. And goodbye.